Hello and welcome to the daily Black Desert news. Yes. There is a ton of news. A couple of days ago, they had a big presentation in Korea where they revealed the biggest info dump so far we've had with Black Desert. So, for instance, they revealed this new class called the Striker. Here it is. This waterfall is Striker. Oh, or maybe this guy's Striker. I think this guy's Striker right there.
I can't wait.
So he's a melee class. He attacks with like punch and kicks. Pretty fancy.
Yes, he also has backing music right out of a fighting game.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Not only that, he also does he quite simply does a Hadouken during this video. So I think whoever designed him, they're a pretty big Street Fighter fan.
Which I love. Having that kind of combat in an MMO like Black Desert is going to be amazing. And look how agile he looks, like just hopping and skipping around, flipping.
You know, as much as I'm excited about this, I'm also kind of sad because I already named a character Gene.
Oh. And he'll be available much sooner than we expected. After next maintenance in Korea, it'll be possible to create characters with the class, and a week after that, he'll be playable in Korea.
Ooh.
This is kind of motivating me to try to get access to the Korean version again, just to mess around with the Striker, because this is the kind of class that I've been hoping for since we first started playing. I love hand-to-hand combat, and Black Desert is pretty good at doing varying, unique combat styles, so this will be fun to try.
So, does this mean his weapon are basically like his gauntlets?
It looks like it.
Yeah, that has to be his main weapon. I don't know what his offhand would be. I find his clothing style interesting. It looks as if he just woke up one morning and he couldn't decide what to wear, so he just decided to wear everything at the same time. Just so many layers.
He's like half barefoot, but not. I don't understand his feet, but it's cool.
We don't understand his feet.
I'm gonna attempt to make Ryu, Hot Ryu, Striker when it's available.
And I'm not sure if you've noticed so far, but this is actually a male class in Black Desert. Can you believe it?
Yeah. What? Like, I guess Young Wizard was the last male class update that we got, right?
Yeah.
Young Wizard, yeah.
And before that we got Ninja and Kunuchi, and that's a very long time ago now.
Since then, Dark Knight was released.
Yeah. Dark Knight being the very newest one.
Restoring the balance.
And this is concept art of his awakening weapon. They didn't specify what this actually means, but this is apparently what his awakening weapon is supposed to look like. And yeah, I don't know. Like super powerful gauntlet? I don't know.
Maybe it's like a shadow form, like Shadow Ryu.
More Street Fighter inspiration.
Maybe he can do a dragon punch.
But that isn't the only class news. They also teased the next class after Striker, and they only showed this silhouette concept art, which they refer to as male or female, which I find a little bit weird because I kinda feel like this is female-ish.
Yeah.
I'm curious what they are meaning to imply by that. Maybe they're considering doing a male equivalent of this class also, or maybe they're just trying to get my hopes up and then make me cry when they don't.
Yeah, I'm hoping it means that they'll be making a male and female version of this class. But this looks interesting. Like I get kind of a Chinese vibe of her outfit and weapon. So I was thinking like maybe it could be like some kind of like fancy Chinese sword style, which we've seen in some movies and games before.
Also, by the way, really quick, I wanted to point out that translation of the he or she will be available. That was an on-the-fly translation by someone that was doing it live. So, I mean, that could just be misinterpreted.
Yeah, I guess I should have that as a pretty big disclaimer. This presentation was in Korean, and we had, like as you said, a on-the-fly translation, and it was kind of hard to follow, and it is possible she got some things wrong with the translation. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
But yeah, that geisha thing. How do you say that? Geisha? Yeah.
I think it's geisha, yeah.
That would be pretty cool to see.
I don't know what this red thread is supposed to be like. It has some kind of big significance since it's highlighted like this, but I don't know what that would be.
Maybe she can throw her sword out on a rope for some range.
Maybe it's a jump rope.
Someone on Reddit linked to a Dynasty Warriors character who uses a sword and this hook in his other hand. And they thought like maybe this could be similar to that.
Oh yeah, maybe like this thing here is connected to the other end of the red rope.
Yeah. It looks like it is because this is her sleeve and this seems like something that she's grasping. So
yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. One quick thing I forgot to mention about the Striker dude is that they mentioned that, at least for PvP, he will have a higher difficulty to play as compared to the other classes.
Which who cares about PvP in this game? Probably nobody, actually.
Not me!
Okay, there's a lot of other news to go through, so let's move on. So this is a trailer of the next Tier 9 horse they'll be adding to the game, the Unicorn.
Oh yeah.
So the Unicorn has an ability to heal nearby party members, and it'll have a powerful charge attack with its spiky horn thing. You can see the horn right there,
Very sparkly.
That's the horn, Unicorn horn, right there. In case you're very confused.
I definitely like the way it looks. Have they revealed anything about how it's obtained so far? Because we know how dream horses are obtained.
No, they only said two things about the horse in the presentation, which is it can heal and it can charge things. That's all they said. No other information. Okay. They didn't say when it would be available or anything.
Yeah, it looks pretty.
Yeah, it looks fancy. I think I would.
I have to ask though, what would you name this specific horse? If you just randomly got that horse, what would you name it?
Fred.
Okay, that's good. Carry on. What were you saying?
I named my first horse in Breath of the Wild Fred.
Oh wow! I'm very proud of you.
I won't tell you what I named my horse.
I was gonna say that I think Pegasus is more excited, more exciting than this horse, but still it looks fancy. I just really like the ability to glide with the Pegasus, so that's the Tier 9 I'll be going after.
Yeah, kind of hard to beat wings.
I'm hoping that the difference in functionality between these two types of Tier 9s, I guess, is what they're referred to as Tier 9s. Is that official?
Just I guess it's not official. It's just what the entire community is calling them.
I don't know if like Dream Horse is what they're implying that they're supposed to be called, or if that's just the Pegasus in English.
It is so confusing because with the new horse system added to the game, they're referring those really good horses as both steed and corsair. We don't know what it's actually supposed to be because they're using the two words randomly.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, I was going to say, I hope that difference in functionality means that the Unicorn will be slightly easier to obtain compared to the Pegasus.
Yeah, the whole Tier 9 thing is kind of insane. But yeah, we'll move on to the next thing. So this is something we were talking about in the previous podcast. They're adding Yebis, this post-processing filter thing. And they showed this off during the presentation. So this is a showcase of Yebis in the game.
It's really interesting to see this comparison video because some of them, like without looking at the subtitles to show you what they are, some of them I think look better and some of them I don't actually prefer the remaster version. So it's going to be interesting to actually see this in play when it comes.
Yeah, to be honest, I think most of this like after versions quite simply look worse. I don't like the increased contrast. I don't like the extreme blur. Like I don't like the blinding glare. It's really overdone. It reminds me a lot of people fiddling with like ENB and reshade filters in games. Like sometimes it looks fancy, but a lot of the time it's just too much for me.
I think I like the shine in certain, like the metallic shine on some things. and maybe the god rays a little bit, but yeah. I'm not sure.
They
didn't they mention during the announcement of this part that they were trying to focus on not affecting the frame rate with these changes? So
yeah, that's one of the things they said. They said that they want to add all of these graphics enhancements without affecting frame rate at all, and they're also going to have a toggle for year base once it's finally added to the game.
Which is good. I hope with that toggle they also add the toggle for sharpening. The sharpening
Oh
function
yes,
finally.
And I also hope that it'll be like roughly 100 toggles, because like certain parts of Yevis might be nice, but not all of it.
Yeah, more graphics options I think are always better than less.
Yeah.
More options, please. Thanks.
And they also mentioned that it's not only Yevis they're adding. They're gonna add other effects to the game, which is not added via Yevis. And they mentioned that besides graphics, they'll also be working on improving the sound in the game.
Yeah, that was surprising to hear. I wasn't expecting that.
They specifically said they're going to improve voice and background sounds. I'm not completely sure what they mean by that. And that could also be a translation thing, which wasn't properly translated.
I got the impression it meant like background noise only and not actual voice acting.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
And didn't they also mention that it included audio effects, just like with storms and rain and that kind of stuff, like not just voices but a lot of other background noise too?
What I heard was voice and background sound specifically. It's possible I missed parts of that.
Okay. And
they also said that they're working on optimizing frame rate for Node and Conquest Wars, so it's less of a slideshow when there's a ton of people fighting at the same time in the same area.
Which, well, you'd think that would also improve frame rate in towns, because that's like a similar scenario. Lots of people around.
Yeah, you'd think so. So
I'm curious how long they've been working on improvements with that, because that's been a problem since I remember there was a GM boss event on the Korean version a long time ago, and the frame rate there was just horrible. So they've had several events where there's been several people gathered in the same place.
Yeah.
I'm curious how long they've been working on that improvement.
Okay, what's this thing?
So they briefly talked about this last year, and now they're showing a lot more of it. This is a new monster they're adding to the ocean, which is really big and really scary. I will assume it'll work like a world boss. And yeah, it is enormous. So what I said during the presentation is that the entire size of this sea monster is equal to the size of Heidel.
What?
That's very large. That's very big. And they say that you can hunt it with ship cannons and rifles. And
I'm already terrified of getting lost in the ocean from all those monsters that chase after you.
Yeah, the normal smaller monsters are already scary enough, especially with like random thunderstorms and like ghost ships and everything else happening at the same time. It's a scary place.
I felt like I briefly felt like diving underwater in the middle of the ocean saved you from certain things because you could hide from the monsters on the surface. But if this thing is going to be waiting for you in the bottom of the ocean, I'm not ever going to swim ever again.
So they specified that they feel like they released Margoria without too much playable content. So this is a step towards making adding more content to the Margoria region.
I would agree that Margoria does not have a ton of content in it.
Yeah, especially with the way Port Rat is designed so far, like you don't really have any reason to go there.
Yeah, it feels like Port Rat is only there for trading and no other reason.
And it's such a long distance away from everything else.
Yeah.
I love the Margoria expansion, and this looks really cool, but
yeah.
I think it does need more to it, yeah.
They didn't say too much about this gameplay-wise. They just mentioned like you have to attack it with ship cannons and rifles, and you need to be careful when moving around it, because I guess this might happen, and you'll be down here and be sad. And
can you go back down really quick, by the way? In this concept art, this scares me too. If they're adding more underwater monsters, like
I
Just
don't, I
reminds me
don't,
of
I don't
Super
know.
Mario 64.
I don't know if this is more monsters, just like part of the same monster, just like tentacles part of it.
Oh, that could be. Oh, so they're supporting tentacle porn now.
Oh,
Oh,
If I look at it
no.
that way, it'll be fine. I won't be scared.
That'll just scare me more.
So speaking of which, I have one extra note I have written here about this, which is sea monsters are scary.
I
So-
mean, yeah.
So moving on. So they're adding one new sailboat to the game, which is a variant on the Ferry sailboat.
I just finished my Imperial sailboat.
Still working on it.
So the Ferry sailboat is focused on trading, but this one will be focused on combat. So it has 2 more cannons, and it will apparently have better handling and/or speed.
Of
The
course.
combat one will have better handling and speed.
And/or speed, like they didn't specify. They said that it would be better. It'll be easier to like move during combat. They didn't specify like how it is easier to move.
I'll go get my axes.
Yeah, I kind of feel sad for people who did just finish their Ferry sailboat and they would prefer a combat-oriented boat instead.
Well, there are people like Crazy Cats who have made 2 Ferry sailboats already, so maybe some people are prepared for another sailboat and get to hold on to those materials instead for this one.
That is pretty crazy.
But yeah, start preparing now. Chop some trees.
Okay, there's still.
I was just gonna say we don't know when this is coming, but you
Yeah.
can never prepare too early for these.
Yeah. And there's still a ton of news to go through. So they showed more concept art. Well, I guess the first concept art of the airships they'll be adding to the game.
Oh.
So there'll be just a slow method of traveling through the world, but it gives a very nice view of the world as well. You can like be standing here and like be like this tamer and wave, hello, hello.
I'm going to stand here.
Oh god, that's dangerous.
The first thing I think of about traveling by airship is, will it be a safe zone always, or will berserkers be able to grab anyone and throw them off while you travel? I'm curious. That's just the first thought that crossed my mind. But this is really cool. It'll be a really neat way to see
Yeah.
the world from up above at that point of view.
And they mentioned that the airships will also travel all the way to Valencia City. So that's so that means we'll have a new way of getting to Valencia City if you don't like to cross the desert.
Yeah,
I
mean,
am sick and tired of crossing desert, so that would be nice.
Yeah, they must be aware that not a whole lot of people go to Valencia City, and they might be trying to come up with methods to encourage people to go to Valencia City a bit more.
Yeah.
It is really cool how big the world is becoming with every expansion. Like, it's giant, especially with the desert and the ocean.
Yeah.
But traveling can sometimes it takes forever to get from one place to another.
Well, I guess this will be another way of taking forever to get to places, because they did specify like this will be slow.
But at least it will be scenic.
Yeah.
And they said that the primary reason they added this is because it was requested by fans.
That is cool that they're doing something like this because of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Also, was the map feature, like the super map and all of that, was that added in because of fan feedback too?
Yeah, what map thing?
The map, just the super map and all of that, being able to teleport, because before that there was nothing like that in the game.
I have no idea. I don't think I've ever seen them talk about that.
Well, I think as the world gets bigger in the game, I'm more okay with teleporting and fast travel options becoming available in creative ways, not like other MMOs do it, but this would be pretty nice.
Yeah, I am pretty excited about testing out the airship, and I'll take many screenshots. So they'll be working on redoing the entire Black Spirit Adventure, the board game they have active for certain events.
Oh.
I think this looks really cool, actually.
So it'll now be more of an actual board game with some strategy involved.
Make sure to land in the Ryman space.
Is that melted copper ore that you picked? It's not very exciting.
Yeah, I think I would rather go for this, which seems to be an inventory expansion. I like that.
Okay. I am now inventory.
Huh.
So there's still dice involved somehow. Looks like you maybe fight monsters via the board game.
Yeah, you'll fight me.
Wow.
Don't worry, it won't be that hard.
They didn't specify how this would work, but it definitely looks more involving than the board game we have right now.
Definitely compared to what we currently have, yeah.
Yeah.
And they cited one example reward, which is that you can get a treasure map, which will lead you to a treasure somewhere in the in-game world. That sounds kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the things I am most excited about myself. This is the concept art of a new game mode they'll be adding. It'll be accessed the same way you access Red Battlefield, which is a menu option, and then you'll be teleported to this area. So this is a PvE mode where you will be fending off waves of monsters attacking you, and you can also use node structures to defend against the monsters.
Black Desert Horde mode?
I am extremely excited about this because that is something that I feel the game is lacking a lot of right now. A lot of group PvE content.
Yeah.
This seems like the perfect solution to that.
Yeah, I think this sounds super cool. They mentioned a couple of other minor details. They mentioned that you'll be limited with resources during this mode. I don't know if that is talking about like potions or node structures. And
That sounds like it makes sense, yeah.
I'd imagine node structures, at least.
And they also said there will be a scoring system in this mode to show who performed the best.
Cool.
So yeah,
I like that.
I think this is super neat because PvE wise, you don't have like endgame wise, you don't have much to do besides just like going to the same areas to grind, and that becomes kind of tedious in the long run.
Yeah. But being able to do this kind of combat in a group and have a different objective besides just slowly leveling up, that would be really great.
Yeah, I am really excited to see this in action. And this is something which I think we briefly mentioned in the previous podcast. They'll be adding a trading system with workers, and this is that. This is called Altinova Merchant System, where you'll be using workers to trade goods.
Oh.
So they specified this is more of a simulation than an actual way of earning money because they don't want the current trading system to become redundant.
I wouldn't mind it becoming redundant.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the same. I kind of feel like this should probably just be an alternative because this seems to me more appealing than the current trading system.
Is this part of their plans that they announced a while back that they're going to? I don't remember the words they used, but like evolve all of the life skill professions in different ways. Does this go along with that?
They talk more about life skill stuff later in the presentation, which I'll get to. I don't think this is part of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we don't have too many details about this part.
They mentioned a couple of things. They mentioned like you can you will use coins to buy like traders, escort wagons, and they will like choose where to move goods, and depending on the route you choose, you might encounter special events on certain nodes like bandits or natural disasters. So you might find a trader to negotiate with to gain trade goods. But they don't specify they emphasize you don't earn silver on this. So I'm curious, like what is the reward from this system? Like there has to be something.
Yeah.
Maybe you just get some kind of like token or seal that you can later exchange for items in the game.
And it sounded like they said that you will spend silver to gain coins to use on the system, and like maybe this is part of that interface.
I mean, if you put in-game money into it, there's got to be some kind of reward system. So
Yeah.
But it sounds interesting at least.
The way you were describing it kind of reminded me of Oregon Trail.
And they mentioned that this is something they decide for people to do while they're AFK fishing or training horses and stuff like that.
Oh, I like that idea. Giving people more ways to enjoy the game passively.
Speaking of the thing which you say don't exist in the game, let's talk about some PvP stuff.
Okay.
So they'll be adding a militia system to Node and Conquest Wars, where you can be like this pink dude right here. Well, maybe not. Where you will enter a node war, like any node war, and you will choose which side to fight for somehow, and and you also have to meet certain gear and level requirements. But it is a way to fight in node wars without having your own guild, like make a fort and everything.
Which I like. I like that idea, opening it up to more people who.
So you
aren't in
can
an active guild.
basically like, be a mercenary for
Yeah,
hire.
yeah, basically, yeah. And they say that if you, I guess if your side wins, then you'll get a reward for your guild. I would assume silver for your guild.
If you operate as a mercenary, you get rewards for your own guild, or
Yeah,
or for yourself personally.
For your own guild.
Okay.
That's what they said. And while you're fighting as a militia, you will not reveal your real guild name or player name.
Interesting.
I think this is really neat because I've always found Node Wars to be pretty interesting and something I would want to test out. But we are not in a guild where we can like properly fight for nodes because we're a very small guild. We don't have a lot of peers. So if we actually try to make a fort anyway, we will get destroyed by everyone, like anyone, instantly.
Yeah, a lot of the PvP in the game so far feels like it just really quickly gets one-sided.
Yeah.
You can't really do much about it.
So I think
something like this is cool. Yeah.
I think this is a very, very, very good change. They mentioned that once militia is activated for a war, they'll only be there for 2 hours. I should read up on Node War rules, but I thought Node Wars were already limited to 2 hours total.
I've helped build a fort, but I've never actually participated in a node war, so maybe I'll jump in with this change.
Yeah, I will definitely be trying this out. This looks like it could be fun, and this is also something they're doing to try to balance out node wars, because right now you do have a lot of node wars which are super one-sided because one guild is just stupidly powerful compared to everything else. Mm-hmm. And this should also fix one weird thing big guilds are doing. So once you own a region, you can't fight for nodes anymore. So what some big guilds are doing, they will conquer a region, and then most people in that guild will quit the guild and join another guild, so they can like fight for node wars during weekdays, and then will like join back to their normal guild to like fight for a region during Saturday. And that's kind of silly. So with this system, they can just fight as militia instead. And they're also adding a new type of like role for Node Wars for people who aren't high level and don't have good gear. They'll have this defensive role. Like you can play as a character with a really huge shield. Kind of sounds like you'll be playing as a phalanx, where you'll be in front of people with good gear and you'll be like a big shield for them essentially. So that sounds interesting.
Meat shield class.
And on to more PvP stuff.
Oh dear.
This is a kill-death ratio chart for every class in the game.
PvP only?
Yes. I think they said this data was from like Red Battlefield, Node Wars. It's difficult to tell some of these colors, but for instance, the white one here is Dark Knight, dark green is Wizard, this pink one is Witch. So they are kind.
So it is true.
Yeah,
OP.
they've kind of been dominating a lot in general. And then a bunch of classes mixed together here. I think the lowest one, I think, is Kunoichi, and second lowest, I think that might be Berserker. Or yeah, I think that's Berserker. I think they said like Tamers was actually one of the highest right now, which was surprising.
I'm surprised Berserker is so low.
I guess it's because like Berserkers, they're really good at stunning, but they kind of rely on other people to actually do the kill. I think in general that's how it works.
Oh, okay.
And you can see like some of these waves are based on when Awakenings were released. This is the release of the Dark Knight class, and this has to be when the Dark Knight Awakening was released in Korea.
That's interesting, because I got the impression that Dark Knight primary weapon was very balanced. It felt comparable to a lot of the already existing classes Awakening. Like she felt very powerful with her primary stuff.
Yeah.
I guess another thing is that beginning days, not too many people were super geared as Dark Knight.
That's true, and I guess people had to learn the class first too. So I guess there's a curve for that.
And they also specified this during the presentation that this chart is not 100% reliable because some classes have different amount of like good or bad players, and like gear is also a huge factor. And they apologized about the current state of the class balance, and they said like this is something they'll be working on. Like they don't like the current state of class balance.
Well, at least this looks decent, kind of. But this is definitely a problem.
Yeah, although they did say that their approach is that they want to nerf the weaker classes. I mean, sorry, buff the weaker classes rather than nerfing the good classes, because they feel people will be more upset with nerfs than they would be with buffs.
I
agree with that.
That's an approach that most game developers take these days with regards to balance.
And they say they're gonna focus on balance based on data from the PvP arena, Red Battlefield, and Nord Wars. And when I say arena, I mean a new arena, PvP arena, which was added to the Korean version recently, which is more organized PvP than the like random arenas you see in the game world.
Is that the PvP tournament stuff that they showed before the announcement stream?
Yeah. That is that same arena, yeah.
So it's like organized 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 battles.
I think it's yeah. I don't know if it's always 2-on-2 or 3 versus 3 or something like that. But yeah, it is that same system. And if I recall, you can actually hold like actual tournaments in the game with that arena.
Huh.
It'll actually like track which teams are winning and such. That's pretty neat.
That's another, like, I don't do a lot of PvP, like hardly any at all. I've barely touched it. I did Red Battlefield once and had a lot of fun with that because it was kind of like organized chaos. But I think, just personally, I feel like the game could use a lot more organized PvP structure.
Yeah.
To maybe lure people into doing it that way rather than involving people that don't want to be involved in it.
I am definitely 1,000 times more interested in organized PvP than open world PvP. I don't like the open world PvP in this game at all.
It's just not entertaining when someone decides to kill you while you're training your horse or fishing.
Yeah, and
it's not. Yeah.
And even if you're in a situation where you are fighting, it is usually extremely one-sided because of the level and gear differences.
Yeah. So the organized part of it seems like a very welcome change to me.
Yeah. And they said that they won't address balance in one huge patch, but rather just like tweak the balance with many smaller patches until they get it right.
Slow and steady wins the race, after all.
Well, I'm glad to hear that they're at least working on those changes.
Yeah. So enough PvP stuff. Climbing. They're adding climbing as a life skill. Climbing will become a life skill.
This is what I was really excited about.
Yeah, this is one of the things I am most excited about from this presentation. So as you can tell, like this climbing life skill will let you scale vertical walls and cliffs.
So it's a life skill that you work on.
Yeah, it is a life skill. The specified one idea is that if you become guru in this climbing life skill, then maybe you can like climb castle walls, which is slightly terrifying because getting guru anything is nigh impossible. But still, this is very exciting for me because I mean, even with how janky the climbing is in the game right now, it is something I really enjoy doing. I just think it's a fun way of exploring the world. So it's
like Breath of the Wild style, yeah.
So it's super cool to see them expand upon this. And I hope this also means that maybe they'll add more reasons to like climb up to places. Maybe have quests where you need to climb, or have like hide rewards up on high places, stuff like that.
Yes.
Golden chests. But yeah, this like just adding a new way to explore the world that we already have. That I think that's really cool. Adding changes like that.
Yeah.
Because that's something that affects the entire world that already exists.
Yeah. So this is pretty neat.
And a new life skill is fun too. Something to make me more famous.
So this is pretty neat.
And a new life skill is fun too. Something to make me more famous.
I'm just gonna casually go through these screenshots while I talk about the other stuff they announced.
Okay.
Whale.
They'll be overhauling current guild systems, so that they'll be making it easier to join and manage guilds. They'll be working on a new guild AI, the UI, and they'll be working on new guild skills.
Ooh.
They did not mention guild quests, which is something I hope they'll work on as well, because guild quests are a cool idea, but the current quests are kind of samey.
We could use some more. Is that Andrew's ranger? Okay.
It's okay.
And speaking of listening to feedback and doing things, they'll be adding dance emotes.
What? Really?
Oh my god.
We somehow missed that when we first listened to the presentation.
It must have been while I was driving. That's crazy, though.
And the translator said, and I quote, "We listen and make it." Reminds me of Capcom with the whole "we do it."
I hope it's more than dancing. I hope they add more like expressive emotes, especially for male classes, because that's one thing I've complained about a lot. Personally, is the different poses. Like there's stance emotes that you can do, like 4 or 5 different ones that you unlock either by level or by quest.
Yeah.
And at least for warrior and I think ninja, 3 of those stance poses are seriously just them doing the same exact pose facing a different direction. There is no change besides that. And I think just emotes in general could use a little bit more excitement and fun. So dancing is a good way to do that.
Yeah. I was going to say something.
Didn't expect you to have so much to say about dancing, did you?
Oh yeah. I was going to say one thing about dancing. I hope they make the dancing fit with the game world. One thing a lot of MMOs do, which I think is honestly stupid, is that the dances they design is based on modern popular dances. Like they will look at what's that Michael Jackson music video, The Thriller, or something like that.
Oh.
That dance I've seen in many MMOs, and like, come on, like at least try to make something which actually fits the game world.
That's kind of hard to imagine them doing it that way. So I'd be surprised if they went that route. But I think I agree with that too.
Yeah. And they talked yet again about the second awakening system, where they'll buff the non-awakening skills. So
I kind of wish they'd use different terms for that, because I feel like that implies another weapon.
It does. It is a little confusing, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, they explained how it would work. So you will choose 2 non-awakening skills, and then that will become a new powerful skill, which is on the same level as an awakening skill. So
you sacrifice one of your skills?
I don't know if it'll become a new selectable skill or how it'll work.
So is that referring to the skill awakening that you do with the skill trainers?
Maybe.
Where you add on effects to the skills? Because they refer to that as skill awakening. So maybe that's the second skill awakening?
Yeah. That might be the case, yeah. I hadn't thought of that.
Because that sounds very similar. Because you pick, I think, you get 3 or 4 different skills that you can add effects to from level 50 to 55. And then you can add, I think, 2 effects for awakening at level 56 and 57. Something like that. That might not be the right numbers, but that's referred to as skill awakening in the game.
They had a couple of examples where, for instance, you will choose one skill which is like a long range skill, and one skill which is focused on AOE, and then you'll end up with one skill which is both long range and AOE. So I guess you can think in those terms.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm curious to see how it'll be in action. For instance, if I were to combine like meteor and earthquake, how would that look like? And they mentioned they'll also be adding the system to tailor preset skill sets. So maybe you like tailor skills to be good for PvE, then you will also tailor skills to be good for PvP, and you can like switch between them.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they also mentioned a new life skill they'll be adding, which is art or artwork, will let you create paintings and pottery. But they didn't go into a lot of detail about how this would work. I think this is one part where I had a really hard time listening to the translator.
Huh.
I had seen one idea on the forums, which I think would be super cool. Like I was reminded of this, that you have paintings in the game you can craft. You have this photo gallery mode where you can take screenshots in photo mode and upload it to the game. So I think it would be super cool if you could use those screenshots from photo gallery as paintings in the game world. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I agree.
I might do that with the nude mod turned on. I hope that's okay.
Oh,
God.
dear.
And they said that a lot of these ideas are like super early in development and may change, and they also encourage players to submit bugs and feedback about stuff.
Yeah, I actually really appreciated that comment that they made.
Yeah.
Encouraging a relationship where the consumers can provide feedback in a constructive way. That's nice to hear that they're encouraging it.
So now we're on to the last bit of news from the presentation. They started talking about Sylvia Part 2, and all of these screenshots are from that.
This is really pretty, by the way.
Yes.
I can't wait to have this area to explore.
So they have changed their plans a little bit. They were gonna have Sylvia Part 1, 2, and 3. So 1 is already released, but 2 and 3 will basically be merged into one big release, and it'll happen this summer in Korea. So they're gonna so they're gonna be 3 major hunting grounds in Sylvia Part 2. There's Mysterious Forest, which is designed for players 53 to 55, and Ringtree Forest, designed for players 55 to 57, and a high-end area designed for level 60 players called Guy Frinracia Temple. And they say that high-end area is similar difficulty as History Dungeon. And apparently you can like engage like one-on-one combat with powerful monsters there.
Like a boss for yourself.
Yeah, maybe like the fun ladies at Gah's.
Mini boss. That's cool. But I don't think I'll be level 60 within the next year.
So
Probably
with the other areas they mentioned, the one of the areas would be similar to mains in media in terms of difficulty, and the second area would be similar to Sawsons in difficulty.
Really, that low level?
Yeah, so I think it's a very smart move to not only have this new area be for high level players, because there's a large part of the fan base who aren't 59 or level 60 yet.
Yeah.
So if they only made this area for those players, not that many people would ever go here ever.
Also, having another area with comparable difficulty to Sawsons maybe will solve the problems at Sawsons. Hopefully, maybe, perhaps.
I don't think the Southson problem will ever be solved.
I feel like it's forever cursed.
I think
Probably
so,
not.
yeah. But that's really I think that's a good idea, because I don't go back to Media if I can avoid it. I am so sick of that place, but
Yeah.
I really don't have any reason to go there, because I think that was designed earlier in the game's development. So maybe they've learned from that expansion, and they're trying to avoid that again. Give more people reason to go to Sylvia.
Yeah. I think this is also, it might be a good excuse to play as alts. So you can fight in this some of these new areas with a low level character. But yeah, we're actually at the end about the presentation. I have now covered everything they talked about during the presentation.
I am most excited about the striker. My dreams came true.
They did finally
Yeah.
realize the male gender exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, Striker looks neat. I will find a way to make another Gene from God Hand somehow, because, I mean, come on. He punches and kicks people. It's got to be that way.
That's not it for the news, by the way. There's more.
You tricked
What?
us.
I kind of decided to just go through recent Korea patch stuff and mention some of the stuff which has been added to the Korean version recently. So these are 5 craftable outfits they added to the Korean version pretty recently. Valencia style outfits. And they added a new guild boss, which you fight in Sylvia.
Ooh.
Very big and scary.
How many of those are we going to fight at the same time?
Hundreds!
The first time we do it, I want to do 7 at the same time before we realize how hard it is.
Oh god.
It's going to be a good experience.
And there's also some other tweaks they've done. They added new investment banks, which are added as workshops, which means any player can use them. You don't need first rank houses. And they've added 2 new. What did you say?
Oh, keep going. Sorry.
It added 2 new weekly world bosses, so they will only spawn weekly. And they've added new animals to hunt in Balanos area. They've added bears, deer, and boars you can hunt.
I think that's a good idea, because I feel like the hunting life skill is a very niche kind of life skill so far. Like, you have to... There's crocodiles, there's whales, and there's the big blue whale that takes forever to kill.
And there's a big bat.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And like a daily hunting quest for a deer that you can do once a day.
Yeah, I think this is easily a very good change for the hunting life skill.
More hunting will be nice.
And they've been...
Even if it's smaller amounts of XP that you get from those easily accessible enemies, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And they've also added a new like testing channel for the Korean version, where they're testing PvP balance changes. So there's specifically 2 things they're testing on that channel. If you're stunned twice in a row, you are immune to stuns for a short while. And also, while you're knocked down, you can hold shift to start blocking incoming damage. So I think this is to address the kind of typical PvP fighting you will see a lot, where people will try to like stun the opponent as quickly as possible and then unleash a really powerful series of attacks which will kill the enemy in one combo. So I've seen a lot of people just say that that one-on-one PvP usually just comes down to like who can stun the opponent first. So I think this is to try to make PvP combat more varied in 1v1 situations.
Well, that sounds like a nice change.
And one final bit of news: Dark Knight Awakening will be coming to the English version with the next maintenance.
Just 2 days to go.
Well, yeah.
And that's it. I'm finally through. I've finally gone through all the notes.
Yay!
Yay!
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be excited about, like the climbing, the new PvE mode. There's a lot of stuff I think will be a lot of fun to mess around with.
I wonder if we'll be able to climb trees.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
They haven't said much dates about any of this stuff. They said summer for Sylvia Part 2 in Korea, and they said Striker will be available soon in Korea. Well, they specify like next week. They actually mentioned that they don't have a release date for Striker for Europe, but I want to say they said that like they are looking to like have him be released soon. Maybe I'm just imagining that from the presentation. There was a lot of chatter.
I hope it's quick. That's the change that I'm looking. I mean, that's the new edition I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah.
So. And we are very close content-wise to the Korean version now, aren't we? It's just Sylvia and Dark Knight Awakening that we don't have.
Yeah. So after Dark Knight Awakening, which is in a couple of days, we are only missing Sylvia Part 1 as major content. So yeah, we are pretty close. And I hope
it's just a matter of a few weeks or maybe a month before we get Striker, as opposed to several months.
Yeah, I guess we could look at Dark Knight as an example. I think that took 2 months before we got Dark Knight.
Was it that long? It didn't feel like a long time.
Do you remember which month we got Dark Knight? Was it February?
I think it was February, yeah.
Because it was mid-December Korea got Dark Knight, so that was 2 months. But anyway, yeah, I hope it is soon. I hope we get content soon. Yes. I like content.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's a lot of new stuff to be excited about.
Yes, this info dump was huge.
I'm very, very curious about that horde mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
As someone who's spent like ages, like a lifetime on like Mercers in Resident Evil, and I also really like modes like Bloody Palace in DMC. If this is anything like those, I will be spending a lot of time on this mode, I feel.
It's yeah, it's very curious because like horde modes, you typically only see them in shooters mainly. Like,
Yeah.
this is the first time you've seen it in like a hack and slash MMO type thing.
I think I saw mentions of what's the name of a recent Blade and Soul? Is that the name of it? Recent MMO. I think that has an arena like survival mode against monsters.
Okay.
You bringing up Mercenaries, though, by the way, reminds me that I also played a lot of Mercenaries in RE5 especially. And the way I played that, I enjoyed doing melees and tag team melees. I think that was one of my favorite parts of Mercenaries. So being able to do this new PvE group content mode with a striker, when both of those things are available, it'll be like an endless melee fest in horde mode with Mercenaries, like all of that combined. I'm so excited.
Yes!
I guess the one thing I'll be curious about is about that mode is like, will you earn XP or will you gain some other kind of reward because it's a separate mode?
It would be weird if you gain 0 XP from it.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. Either way, even if you don't gain anything, as long as it's fun, it's something I'll spend time on.
Yeah. And just a way to interact with other people in a more cooperative way.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, any final words before we end the podcast?
If any of this news of upcoming content has convinced some of you to get the game and try it for the first time, we play on the European server. You know where to find us.
And I still have guest passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can just send me a message on YouTube or something if you're interested in trying the game and joining our guild.
And Hot Ryu with the nude mod. That's my final words. Thanks. Bye.
As someone who recently finished Zelda Breath of the Wild and upgraded his stamina to maximum before focusing on heart containers, I'm very, very curious about the climbing life skill.
You did what?
I upgraded my stamina first before heart containers. Like,
what? I only did 2 stamina upgrades the entire game and did everything else heart containers. Like, to each his own, but I can't believe you did that. That's crazy.
I mean, climbing, it just felt so important to get around. And I wanted to climb like the really big cliffs quickly.
Well,
I respect your decision.
Before this turns into a really huge Zelda podcast, I guess we'll just stop here. But yeah, very much exciting news. Yes. So
Yay.
See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.